Roster bloat is legitimately the biggest issue in the Isle. Of course, that's the title of this video, but really when I mean it's the biggest issue, I mean because the roster is gigantic. My ability to entertain cannot be overstated. All unfunny jokes aside, roster bloat is a serious topic in the Isle's community, and a rather divisive one at that. You may wonder why having so many options to choose from is even an issue at all, and I don't blame you. For starters, the roster size means that the game's overall completion is a long way away. And in terms of dinosaur games, that's not something to be taken lightly. There are almost no games that have made it past the beta stage in this genre, and the Isle's long list of hopes and dreams will just mean that many people will see it in a more negative light for years to come. Fantastic! Dondi, the lead developer, has stated multiple times that he most likely won't be expanding the development team, so what we have is what we get. And because the Isle's quality is so high, each playable will take a very long time to come out. On top of this, the Isle's releases aren't always released. A lot of the time they're half-baked shells of their original concept. Goodbye burrows, I guess. That means many playables such as Dryo, Hypsy, Omni, and many more down the line will not be nearly as good as other species in the tier if they happen to get completed instead. This just leaves many players upset with what they're given, and makes a lot of the seemingly vast roster very empty. Another big issue with roster bloat is balancing. When you have two species to compare and contrast, it's okay to have varying stats, abilities, and weaknesses. This is because it's easy to monitor the performance of each playable and tweak them as the developers see fit. This kind of data will not be easily obtained with 20 or eventually 50 different species running around the map, and that doesn't even consider the way that players think of balancing. It's such a heated issue already, and Legacy had less than half the variables to consider than Evrima, especially once all the playables release, if that ever happens. Another issue here is feature creep. Most games that develop over long periods of time have a habit of wanting to add bigger and better things to their game. It's only natural, and I don't see the Isle as being any different. Playables that exist now won't be cool 3 years from now, and the developers will want to introduce new players via flashier and better dinos to play as. This will further reduce the game's flimsy balance, and make a lot of old players unhappy with the way the game is progressing, while new players will suffer the same exact fate down the line. As new mechanics are added to the game, new code, animations, sounds, and overall development time will have to be sunk into each new arrival into the game. Imagine trying to make a simple new mechanic that gets turned into a year-long endeavor because the one animation you need to add will differ across all 50 playables in the game. It simply won't be achievable in a short period of time, if at all, and it will only make the player base angrier as updates take longer and longer, which is already a huge issue the devs are facing right now with a fraction of the work required. Games are buggy, especially games like the Isle, where a mountain of things can go wrong at any given moment. The more creatures, features, and situations that enter the game, the more lag, bugs, and issues that will reveal themselves. Players are already rather upset about the game's buggy state, and with each new addition to the game, the likelihood and frequency of these bugs is likely to go up dramatically. I mean, we don't even have burrowing yet, and I can't already imagine the nightmares that will unfold once that happens. Some species in the Isle are frankly useless on their own, and as the roster grows, each species' population will dwindle. The additions of humans will only add to this problem. If you have a server with 150 people, which mind you is the optimal player amount, only 3 of each species will exist on average in the server. This doesn't even account for how many humans will exist on the server, and will most likely push us closer to a Noah's Ark situation. Of course, some playables will be more popular than others, but I simply can't foresee a future where pack hunting is even remotely achievable for most players. There simply won't be enough of their species on the server to create one without some kind of advanced planning, and not everyone has friends, okay? It's a small gripe, but the larger the game gets, the less accessible it will be to people with weaker systems and less storage space than others. Some people may not get the game solely because they don't want to dedicate a quarter of their computer storage to a prehistoric walking simulator, and that kind of sucks, I guess. Especially when it's because the devs decided we need 2 kinds of Utahraptor, a real one, and an ugly one. Okay, this one will be revolutionary, guys. Strap in. The way to fix roster bloat is by reducing the size of the roster. No need to thank me, really. In fact, I'll shamelessly plug my first real video series where I will pick apart the roster piece by piece and banish some of the more unnecessary playables to the Shadow Realm. I can't wait. Anyways, that's what I've got this time around. I'd love to know what you think of the roster and if it really should change, or I'd like 100 more dinosaurs for the hell of it. As always, thank you for watching, and have a good day, bro.